You are leaders in your practice. And leadership is not something we're born with. There's an old story about an old man sitting by a fence in a village in Greece, and a tourist walking by said, and this was a little town, were there any great men born in this town? And he said, nope, only babies. We're not born into leadership. Leadership is something that we have to work at constantly, and it's a hard thing. I mean, where do you find time, as doctors in particular, or busy staff people, where do you find time to do things like read leadership books or to listen to audio CDs? How do you build that in? And yet it is one of the most important parts of what we do every single day, because you're leading your patients. You're leading your office to success. So weaving in leadership is really important. And that we find that the practices that are the most successful practices are those that weave in the leadership throughout the practice on a daily basis. They produce more, they collect more, and they have more fun. So leadership is incredibly important. And how do you, first off, create an environment where you can have team that are excited about leadership, and want to be someplace like here when we could be home digging in our garden or visiting with grandchildren, doing the other things that are important to us. The leadership skills that we wove into my practice really started when I created an environment where it was okay to talk about what was wrong. You need an environment, a culture, an atmosphere of, hey, it's okay to talk about something that's wrong. And I want to tell you about my hygiene operatory. We had a coat rack in there. It was a small operatory right next to my staff lounge. And this coat rack was like a $10 coat rack. I mean, it was a cheap little thing, but it was cute. It had cute painting on it and all that. But it was the way the room was set up. I had on the chair, the light stanchion was connected to the chair. It was an pull overhead light. And we had our hygienist go out on maternity leave. And her 6-week maternity leave turned into 3 months. But I had a lot of temporary hygienists coming in to cover for her. And there was a problem in the practice. And I was young in practice, and I was young in my leadership. And the staff, I had not yet created that culture of, hey, let's talk about what's wrong, it's okay. Well, what was happening was, and I didn't know this, the light would catch, if they'd swung the light out of the patient's way, the light would catch underneath that coat rack. And when they would raise the chair up then, it would trap the light underneath that $10 coat rack. And then what happened was I was in the kitchen one day, and of course this is unbeknownst to me. It's been happening for 6-8 months. Nobody said anything to me. And I'm in the kitchen, I hear this horrible crash, bang. And I went flying out of the staff lounge around the corner, and that entire light, the bolt had sheared, and the light had dropped down onto the chair. There wasn't a patient in the chair. And I said, oh my gosh. And they knew that this was an issue. I was upset with them, but then I started thinking, I really need to be upset with myself, not my staff, because if they didn't feel comfortable coming to me and talking with me, then that was my fault. And so what I did was every single team meeting after that, forever, I usually started the meeting off with what was going well and what wasn't. What did we need to fix? Was there a problem? Is something broken? Is there something that's annoying our patients on a daily basis? If there's something that's annoying your patients on a daily basis, fix it. I mean, it sounds simple, but a lot of times we don't think about that. I consulted in a practice where the reception area was freezing. And I asked the staff, are your patients cold out there? Do they complain? Oh yeah, every day they ask for blankets.